first keynote that happens to be on the digital highway, navigating the automotive industry and future with blockchain. And here I would now like to bring you Mr. Anurag Agrawal on stage. Sir, we welcome you with a big heart and an even bigger smile, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome him. He's the co-founder and director, DataBloc Technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, here I give you Mr. Anurag. Sir. He has over 27 years of experience in the global IT and consulting industry, and he's foremost expert in the areas of blockchain technology, Web 3.0, digital assets, and metaverse. He has delivered keynote addresses and presentations at numerous international seminars and conferences focusing on blockchain, ethical use of AI, and digital transformation. He has also authored a widely acclaimed book on blockchain technology titled Blockchain, A New Revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to give you Mr. Anurag. Please welcome him with a round of applause. Thank you.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anurag Agrawal. I'm the co-founder and director at DataBloc Technologies. And I've been working in blockchain Web 3.0 space for the last 7 years. So, in this particular session, we would try to understand that how does blockchain technology impacting the automotive industry? What are the different use cases? We would also have a look at different case studies that how do major manufacturers, major automotive manufacturers around the world using blockchain technology in different ways. So, since you all are attending this particular summit, I'm pretty confident that you do understand what blockchain technology is. But then we would just spend a couple of minutes in understanding what blockchain is, what are the key elements and features of it, what are the benefits of blockchain technology, so that when we come to the subsequent part of the presentation, you would be able to appreciate the things in a much more better way. So, this is the way I plan to take it forward. So, let us understand what blockchain is. See, blockchain is an open distributed ledger that records transactions between two parties in a way that is both verifiable and permanent. Let us try to understand what that means in simple terms. Open. Blockchain is open because it is accessible to anyone who is part of the network. Any participant of that particular network can see the transactions happening on a blockchain in real time. Distributed. See, instead of having a central authority like a bank control the information, here a copy of the ledger is present on a network of computers called nodes, and every node would have a copy of that particular transaction. This results like every node would have a copy of that transaction, so that even if one node fails, the system keeps running. This makes the blockchain more resilient and it makes it more tamper proof. Ledger. Ledger is simply a record of transactions, right? What we call bahi khata in Hindi. So, suppose if I transfer 1000 rupees to you, like an entry of that particular transaction would be made in the ledger. But here in this case, instead of having a centralized authority like a bank or a broker maintaining that particular ledger, here a copy of the ledger would be present on all the nodes. P2P, peer to peer. The blockchain operates in a way that transactions are made directly between two parties instead of having a central authority present in between. So, whatever the transactions which are there, it will be directly made between two nodes without getting any central authority as a part of that particular transaction framework. Permanent. Every transaction which is recorded on a blockchain is permanent. It is immutable. What is immutable? Which cannot be changed. So, every transaction on a blockchain is permanent. It cannot be changed. It cannot be modified. It cannot be deleted. So, even if I add a transaction with wrong information, it would stay out there. I would have to add a new transaction with the right information subsequently. This results in the entire this results in the blockchain being more, this results in blockchain being more reliable, so that you can go back in history and see the history of each and every transaction on the blockchain. See, this is what I was talking about, centralized and distributed ledgers. In a centralized ledger, we have a central authority controlling the entire, like the entire transactions happening, like a bank. And this particular central authority, like a bank, that holds the golden record. Suppose if my ledger doesn't match with the bank's ledger, I would have to reconcile my ledger with that of the bank, because it's the bank which holds the golden record, and we would all have to adjust our ledgers which like with that of the banks. But in a distributed ledger, every node or every computer on the network has a copy of that particular ledger. And the transactions happen directly between all the participants of that particular network. There is no central authority. So, since there is no central authority, it results in more trust. Now, coming to the key elements of blockchain. We have already spoken about decentralized and distributed ledger. There is no central authority present in case of blockchain, and all participants of the network, which are nodes, they hold the copies of the entire blockchain, making the system more resilient, and basically it is more it is less prone to attacks or hacking. Now, cryptography. You know that cryptography is a branch of mathematics. Now, see, and basically this cryptography, it is the backbone of blockchain security. Here what happens that each transaction is encrypted and linked to the previous block by a process known as hashing. We have different hashing mechanisms, SHA-256, SHA-512. We wouldn't go into the details of those, but because of this, there is a unique digital fingerprint which is made of each and every transaction on a blockchain. Consensus. Now when we have seen that every node holds a copy of the blockchain, holds a copy of the ledger, there has to be certain mechanism, there has to be certain protocol by which each and every node comes to a consensus that what is the next transaction which would be added on the blockchain, or what would be the validity of the transaction, what is the true state of the blockchain. This particular protocol is known as consensus mechanisms. Like there are different kinds of consensus mechanisms, proof of work, proof of stake, all those kind of consensus mechanisms are there. Smart contracts, this is pretty important. What is a smart contract? It is nothing but a piece of code which resides on the blockchain. And this particular smart contract, it carries the business logic. It carries the business logic, so that whenever any predefined conditions are met, that smart contract gets triggered. For example, in the case of supply chain, suppose if the inventory level falls below a certain limit, then automatically the smart contract gets triggered and an order is placed with the supplier. So, it reduces the manual process. It helps in automation of the entire thing. Like these are smart contracts. Moving forward. Okay. Now, the benefits of blockchain. See, there are predominantly 4 benefits of blockchain: transparency, security, immutability, and trust. Transparency. Blockchains are transparent because they operate on a public ledger. By public ledger, we mean that all participants of the blockchain, all stakeholders in the blockchain are able to see each and every transaction in real time, because of which they are transparent. You can see the entire history of each and every transaction. It helps in traceability. Because of the fact you can see the entire history of any part or component on a common blockchain. Security. Blockchain gets its security because of cryptographic methods. Because of cryptography, what we talked about. So what happens that every transaction is encrypted and linked to the previous one, so that if someone tries to change one data, the entire chain would get affected and everyone would come to know that a fraudulent transaction has been added. unless and until we have that consensus mechanism, like the rest of the nodes won't accept that particular transaction. Immutability, key feature. Anything which goes on the blockchain, it stays there permanently. It is immutable. It cannot be deleted. It cannot be modified. So all participants of the blockchain network, they have the confidence. They have the confidence that if a transaction is present on a blockchain, it is an authentic transaction. It is tamper-proof. Coming to trust, blockchain gets its trust by consensus mechanism, cryptography, all these kind of things. And it makes the blockchain more reliable. It makes it more reliable. It reduces down the cost. It basically increases up the speed, making it more efficient. So the thing is that even the participants who don't know each other would be able to confidently transact with each other, knowing fully well that the system would take care of the authenticity of the data. The system would take care of the reliability of the data. This is what trust mechanism is all about. Now, like Bitcoin is a kind of a blockchain, right? Blockchain came into prominence because of Bitcoin. But blockchain is the underlying technology. Bitcoin just happens to be one of the applications which has been built on top of it. It's not that, Bitcoin happens to be the most prominent application, but blockchain is being used across industries. It might be financial services, healthcare, retail, everywhere. So Bitcoin is a blockchain which has been running 24/7 into 365 from for the last 15 years without having any downtime. And the beauty of this is that there is no team behind it. There is no company behind it. There is no support team behind it which is supporting this particular blockchain. It's the technology which handles the entire thing. You might have heard about things in the media that so and so money has been stolen, so many bitcoins have been stolen, and all those kind of things. But those things happen because the crypto exchanges on which people use for trading, those crypto exchanges get hacked. It is never the blockchain which gets hacked. So this is the security, and this is the security, and this is the effectiveness, and this is the authenticity what we are talking about. Now, once we have a fair amount of idea about what blockchain is, let's come to the second part of it, that how is blockchain affecting the automotive industry. One of the most widely used cases of blockchain technologies in automotive industry is supply chain management, because we need resilient supply chains, we need transparent supply chains. Supply chains need to be trustworthy, they need to be efficient. So moving to it, let's understand what are the main challenges in automotive supply chains. Complexity and fragmentation. This is the major challenge in automotive supply chains. We have automotive supply chains, they are very complex. We have hundreds of suppliers spread across different tiers and spread across geographical regions. A single vehicle has 30,000 parts in it, and we are getting those parts from hundreds of suppliers. All the suppliers are fragmented, the data is fragmented, major challenge out here. There's lack of transparency and traceability. With so many intermediaries involved in this particular supply chain, it leads to lack of transparency, and it is very difficult to track each and every part. It becomes very difficult to track each and every part. Lack of trust among stakeholders. There is no unified source of truth, which leads to mistrust among stakeholders. Supplier might be telling you something, or basically he might be sending you the wrong information. You don't have any way to verify unless and until trusting that particular person. We would see how that blockchain leads to trust among different stakeholders out here. Counterfeit parts and products, a major challenge in automotive supply chains. On an average, an automobile industry loses $45 billion annually due to counterfeit parts and products. This is apart from the fact that it leads to safety concerns in the vehicles. It leads to brand, the brand reputation of manufacturers get negatively impacted. These are the kind of things which cannot be even quantified. So counterfeit parts and fraud getting into the supply chain is a major concern. Inefficiencies due to manual process. Still at a lot of places, we have manual documentations being used, basically pen and paper kind of a documentation being used. So that leads to errors, that leads to inefficiencies. Let's see these major challenges what we have in automotive supply chain. How is blockchain a solution to these particular challenges? Complexity and fragmentation. Blockchain reduces the data silos which is present. We have a number of suppliers. Every supplier or every particular stakeholder would be running their own software applications. They would be having their own ecosystem out there. So data is always there in silos. But using a blockchain, the participants can securely share the data among all the participants on the blockchain ecosystem. Lack of transparency and traceability. See, we have seen that blockchain operates on a public ledger. When there is a public ledger, each and every participant would be able to see the transactions happening in real time, and you can go back and see the history of each particular component and part, that what are the touch points of that particular component and part. So basically each part can be traced back to its origin. This becomes very important when the recalls happen. In the case of recalls, it becomes very important to find the origin of the fraudulent part. Here you can do it in a couple of minutes. Coming to the the challenge of lack of trust among stakeholders. See, because of the blockchain's distributed nature, we don't have a central authority. So the records which are out there on the blockchain, they cannot be altered, they cannot be modified, they cannot be deleted, which leads to greater trust among the stakeholders. Counterfeit parts and products. Now, blockchain provides a tamper-proof record of each part's journey. It provides a tamper-proof record of each part's journey. It's basically possible to track each and every part, so there is no way that a counterfeit part would get into your counterfeit part would get into your supply chain. Manual processes. Manual processes are handled because of smart contracts. We have seen that these are the contracts which automatically get triggered. There is no manual process involved. Suppose if a delivery of a part and component happens to you, after you verify it, you can have a smart contract that the payment automatically gets triggered. So there is no manual process involved. We were talking about if the inventory goes below a certain limit, an order can be automatically placed to the supplier. So in 2021, there was an acute shortage of semiconductors in the automotive industry, right? Now, I'm not saying that blockchain technology could have basically increased the production of semiconductors, but having trustworthy, resilient supply chains, having efficient supply chains would definitely have negated the impacts what we had out there. Now, these are the things what we are talking about is not something which is only on paper. We have major manufacturers, automotive manufacturers around the world who are using blockchain technology for their supply chain management. Renault has tied up with IBM, and they are using IBM Hyperledger blockchain to basically track and trace their components and parts on a supply chain. This is the first industrial scale application development of, this is the first industrial scale blockchain project in automotive industry. Now the aim, how it works, benefits, we have already spoken about, right? So they are able to efficiently track and trace each and every part on a blockchain. Another major, like if you go to the Renault's website, you would be able to see some very good videos that how is Renault using blockchain-based supply chain applications. And because it's always good to hear from the user's mouth. BMW has launched their supply chain on blockchain. So they have launched a project called Part Chain, which is basically a blockchain-based supply chain solution, and it is being used to ensure traceability, transparency of various parts, right from suppliers to manufacturers to like to final product assembly line to regulators. Just imagine that now we have a common platform running across the entire supply chain ecosystem, and everyone is able to share their data on that particular platform, and everyone is confident that the data which is out there, it is trustworthy. It hasn't been tampered with. So these are all the benefits: real-time traceability, counterfeit production. It leads to operational efficiency. Now, BMW is not simply using blockchain for their supply chain management. They are using it for other applications as well. One of the applications is Verify Car, which I would touch in a minute. The second is smart contracts. They are using smart contracts to automate their entire processes. Digital transformation, what they have done is that they have combined blockchain with IoT devices. Using IoT devices, they are able to get the real-time data from the sensors. When the real-time data comes, it is directly fed into the blockchain network, so that we are ensured that the data out there on the blockchain remains permanent and it is tamper-proof. Blockchain is helping in their sustainability effort. They are using blockchain to basically track the minerals which is used in their EV vehicles, like lithium and cobalt and nickel. Now they are able to track those particular minerals and see whether those minerals are coming from sustainable sources or not. I know time is getting over. I would just like to share one more particular use case which is a bit more futuristic in nature, which is digital vehicle passports. What are digital vehicle passports? See, a digital vehicle passport, it is a comprehensive record of any particular vehicle, right from its manufacturing details to ownership details to odometer readings to its maintenance to its repairs, accidents, insurance claims. So basically, each and every vehicle out here, it has a digital vehicle passport. Now, what are the benefits out of it? First of all, it leads to streamlined insurance claims, because insurance company would have the entire life cycle history of a particular vehicle. When that happens, it becomes very easy to basically record a vehicle's history, including accident repairs and maintenance, and then it helps in deciding the claims which the person has made, and the disbursement of money becomes very faster. Resale of vehicle. This is important because it is being widely used in pre-owned vehicle subsegment. Now the buyers become the buyers of used cars become much more confident that by seeing the entire history of that particular vehicle on a blockchain, has the vehicle been subjected to right maintenance? Has it gone under any accidents? Has any insurance claim been made as part of that particular vehicle? We have a lot of compliance regulation in the automotive industry, like environmental regulations, safety standards, cyber security standards. So blockchain is able to, just to take an example, blockchain is able to capture the emissions data of vehicle. When that particular emissions data of vehicle is captured, and if that particular emissions data goes above a certain limit, automatically a message is sent to the regulator and they can take necessary steps out of it. Here I would like to introduce you to a consortium which is called as MOBI, which is a mobility open blockchain initiative. It has been formed by major automotive manufacturers like Honda, General Motors, Toyota, along with technology giants like IBM and Microsoft. What they are doing is that they are working to standardize blockchain protocols for the entire automotive industry, so that interoperability between different blockchains becomes much more easier. So this digital vehicle passports, of course it's a bit tough in our country, because it's difficult to get the government records from different state governments and then basically capture all that particular data, but digital transformation is happening out here. Now these are the different case studies of different manufacturers working for the digital vehicle passports. It might be Volkswagen, Renault, Honda, Porsche, everyone is working on it. These are the projects what they are working on, and these projects are in different stages of development and testing. So this is what I had for this short period which I was given. I would be happy to take one or two questions if the time allows. Yeah, sure, please.
My name is M.H. Khan, and I have been working with, I had been working with Maruti for around 34 years and plus. Now I do my consultancy in the field of automobile only, that is in the name of Assist. Question is, how we are integrating these latest technology which is being used, data, thousands of kind of data generated for customer, use, service, data, mileage. So how, trace back to the complaint generation, how can we reduce, or we have reduced in any case, the amount of job which is likely to happen in case of recall. Maybe if you talk about Volkswagen airbag failure, or some other company, they have a सीट बेल्ट फेलियर,
राइट, आई गॉट योर पॉइंट.
25 लाख प्लस 25-30 लाख से ज़्यादा गाड़ियाँ रिकॉल में हैंडल हुई हैं और कंपनी बर्बाद हो गई. ऑलमोस्ट मिलियंस एंड ट्रिलियंस ऑफ रुपीज लॉस हैज टेकन प्लेस. वन कंपनी कॉल्ड इन जापान इट वाज डिफॉल्टेड एंड की China company has rendered in the name of Key. It was 100-year-old company has been sold out because of the failure. So how can we reduce this gap from the end use to the tier 3, tier 2? Any of your such kind of experience you have gone through this to reduce that risk?
Right, okay. See, one thing I would like to tell you from my experience that any technology cannot be used in isolation. That is the core thing which everyone needs to keep in mind. We have been talking about a lot of technologies, AI, blockchain, cloud computing, edge, and all these kind of things. Whenever you need to make a digital transformation in any process, it is the bouquet of technologies which come together to solve any business problem. Technology is not there for the sake of technology. Technology comes out to the fore, and its real beauty can only be seen when it solves a real world problem. So if you try to apply blockchain in isolation, maybe it might not solve all of your problems. But as far as what your question is concerned is that you told about the recall of vehicles. Yeah, recall of the vehicles. So yes, so by capturing the journey of each and every part, each and every component on a blockchain, we are able to find the source of any particular component and part very easily, because every touch point is recorded on an immutable ledger, on an immutable blockchain, which is trustworthy, which is tamper proof. So you can go back in history. Suppose if you record a transaction on a blockchain, and if you go after 20 years as well, that particular transaction would still be there. So if any fraudulent part comes into the supply chain because of which recalls happen, you can go back in history and find the origin of that particular fraudulent part or component. Yes.
So blockchain technology itself is a very costly affair, because every transaction, if it comes to look at the single car, there are thousands of products which are like integrated part of that car. How that cost is going to be, because if I understood correctly the automotive industry, then the cost is most important, because their profit margins are not there. It is around 8, 10, 12, 13, 18%. So how that is going to be managed?
Right, okay. See, if you are working within a single organization, or if you have a group of parties which you can trust, I would honestly say that there is no point in employing a blockchain technology based supply chain solution, because as you rightly said, it is expensive, and basically it is a complex thing of employing a blockchain technology. In that particular case, where you have a small group of trusted parties, you can use any ERP solution for your supply chain management.
So I'm trying to say here is ERP solution. SAP is a very robust ERP solution, right? It has vendor managed solutions. It has the up to dealer. It has the complete supply chain solution as well.
Yeah.
But when you are talking about this blockchain technology, you are talking about the immutability of the data.
Yes.
And if I understand, as I explained, the car manufacturing itself is a low margin thing. So they are making money in the after-sales services, basically, not major money in the manufacturing and selling of the new cars.
Okay.
How that entire cost of transactions on blockchain is going to be catered out there, because that become very costly affair for them.
Yeah.
There are thousands of components which are there in the car. That is the problem. That is the question, basically, how that cost will be taken care by your solution.
Yeah, if you need to employ a blockchain solution, you need to have the right budget. If your budget is so tight that you cannot employ a blockchain based solution which results in immutability and tamper proof of data, continue using your SAP or continue using your ERP. So just one thing which was discussed in the previous session, someone mentioned about the scalability, Anuj. So I would just like to say that for handling the scalability problems in blockchain, we have something called sharding or side chains. What happens is that the actual processing of data takes place on those particular side chains, so that the main blockchain is not impacted, and it is basically the load on the main blockchain is reduced. We have a number of side chains like Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum. All these are side chain which are just used for processing of data. So that basically that improves the scalability of the entire thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anurag. That was wonderful. If anyone has any more questions, you can always catch him outside. He's very much around. But here I would like to bring this first keynote thing to an end. Thank you so much, sir. And before you leave, I would like to call on stage a representative from SAMIL, Shriram Automall. Can we have somebody from Shriram Automall for felicitating Mr. Anurag? Thank you so much, sir. I'm looking forward to something. So many smiles just came on your faces. Thank you so much for being such a fantastic audience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you yet again, sir. Thank you. Thank you.